One Piece. This is One Piece chapter 1031, Warrior of Science. Last we left off, Kid and Law used their unceremoniously awakened abilities to really land a big blow on Big Mom. And everybody's like, damn, they went in. Not even Big Mom could have survived that. And not 2 seconds later, just a metal beam just pops out. I guess she just kicks it, and it smashes the henchman who just said that. Like, fuck you! What you mean? These are steel beams. These are only steel beams. I'm a fucking emperor of the sea. These are nothing. So Big Mom is up. She's fine. She just gets up and is like, life or Oshiruko. And she just snatches the souls of the surrounding Kaido henchmen, and
because none of them had Oshiruko.
Oh yeah, they didn't have any Oshiruko for her.
At least she gave them a chance. You can't say she's not merciful.
Yeah, she usually gives them a chance. It's usually a question, it's like life or stay, life or whatever. So she takes the souls that she just took and distributes them amongst the inanimate steel beams of the buildings that Kid and Law just collapsed. And I guess she then uses a year of her remaining lifespan to strengthen her, which I guess she can do. She could just give up a piece of her soul and make herself 10 times stronger, to a point where she actually starts to grow in size. And Big Mom's already huge, so
yeah.
Now
she's the size of a 3-story building, probably.
Yeah, it's not looking good. And she's like, I haven't felt this much pain in decades. I think that's very impressive, you two. And she's like, I'm not gonna fucking play around anymore. I'm sure you've come for my throne, just like Straw Hat Luffy. So take it if you can. Prove that you're worthy of being an emperor of the sea. I mean, respect. She's out here like, all right, I see you put it in the work. Now I'm gonna have to smash you. It's a really cool moment.
These warlords love to fight.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in the cave chamber, Apu is fighting against Diaz Drake, who has apparently denied his request to start an alliance because he's already got an alliance with Luffy. He's basically like, I already know who the main character of this story is, so it's me versus you, Scratchman. And he starts to kind of put together what Scratchman Apu's powers are really. It's still kind of vague the way he describes them. He activates them through hearing and aims them with sight. So I don't really know what that means necessarily. But
if you have to be able to hear it, which is, I guess easy within a certain range.
So hearing meaning if somebody can hear him, the devil fruit works. That's a condition. And then in order for it to take effect, you have to be able to see them.
Yeah, I mean, he aims the attack with his eyes and I guess uses his hearing to activate them. Okay, I mean, I guess. I don't know.
No, as in you could protect yourself if you can't hear him.
Mm-hmm.
He targets other people's hearing and then aims the attack just by looking at them.
Okay, yeah.
That's essentially what's going on.
That makes sense.
Makes sense, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Apu makes mention that anyway, the real reason you're in trouble is these 3 numbers here. These are the real problem that you're dealing with right now. And at that moment, that's when Yamato breaks in, and he doesn't know exactly what's happening. He still thinks that Apu and Drake are on the same squad. But, she just blitzes through them after they both basically are like, we're not on your side anymore. She's like, oh, okay. See you later, guys. One of the numbers seems to take interest in Yamato and chases him, despite the orders of Apu. He doesn't really command this guy Fuga to go after her or him. And I guess the other ones are going after them too, chasing after Yamato. But
I wonder if there's any significance to that.
there is apparently a theory as to why this number went off. But I guess we should say that for the end.
Okay.
Okay, so meanwhile, back at the second floor of the castle, Robin and Brooke are running away from the CP0 guys who have caught up to them. One looks like he has some kind of weird telekinetic ability because he seems to be juggling someone in midair. It's kind of hard to...
Or he tossed them.
Maybe. I mean, like, just like, get out of my way. So the Minks are staying behind to fight them off and give Brooke and Robin time to escape. Robin explains that CP0 is the highest level of Cypher Pole. We knew that much, but the agents that wear masks are the most elite. They're like the cream of the crop of the CP0. And at that moment, the main CP0 dude just teleports away using, I guess, the shave technique. We cut back to the pleasure hall, where Sanji is come across. I guess there's some civilians on Onigashima that aren't necessarily involved with the battle. We see a crying girl who's just like bleeding, and they're accusing Sanji of hurting this woman, and Sanji doesn't remember this. He's like, I didn't do anything. And he's as he like leaves these people alone and runs into Queen. He tries to remember what exactly happened, and he was running down the hall, and he sees the lady, and there's just like this weird blur in his memory, and as he's running towards her, and the next moment he's aware or conscious of himself, she'd been knocked through the air, and she was bleeding badly, and her eyes had fear in them looking at him. So, he's like, fuck, did I do that?
Or it just happened off screen.
Yeah, the actual impact itself happened off screen, so it may not even be Sanji's fault.
Leave it there.
Brian? Yeah. So Sanji starts thinking to himself, is like, tell me, Luffy, which would you prefer? A regular flesh and blood mean who turns into a helpless wreck whenever I face an opponent who's a woman? Or a cruel, cold, emotionless warrior of science who can crush even monsters like him? So, I guess he makes the decision for himself as he reaches for his Germa armor. And, man, Queen goes crazy. He's like, ooh, is that your Germa suit? And Sanji starts talking to Queen, saying that, like, he assumes that this thing... caused the science that was already in his body to awaken somehow. And he's like, well, I can't do anything about that, but I can say no more, as he stomps on the armor, destroying it seemingly. And at that point, he says farewell to Germa, farewell to the woman's bath, because, he's always wanted to have invisible powers so he can sneak into the woman's bath, and now he can't do that. And he picks up a snail transponder, and it calls Zoro, who's in the middle of a battle with King right now. But he picks it up and starts talking. He realizes it's Sanji. And Sanji tells him that the battle is about to end real soon. But after it's all said and done, if Sanji's not in his right mind, he asks Zoro to kill him. And Zoro's like, what? All right, whatever, man. I'll kill you just like you asked. Whatever that's supposed to mean.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he says, at least I have something to look forward to after this. In that case, don't die before then. And Sanji thanks him, hangs up, and he lays a big ol' attack on Queen, and that is where the chapter ends. This is a pretty big chapter, I'd like to say. Lots of stuff going on in the core of Sanji. First things first, I mentioned that there is a theory as to who those three numbers are in particular. A lot of people are saying that those are the three samurai that were trapped with Yamato back in the day, and they were somehow made into numbers, into those giant creatures. Because if you remember, like, one of them looks really similar to one of the samurai from the cave. I don't know if they have like an exact good look at them there, but that's the prevailing theory there. And that's why the Fuga one chases after Yamato specifically because he recognizes him.
Because of the samurai getup.
If you look at one of the panels below, you see that like one of them kind of looks like has like the getup of one of the samurai, like the one with the two horns, not the one with the mustache, but this other the chubby one, I guess.
Yeah. The Fugo one.
Yeah, the Fuga one, I guess, is supposed to be that lead samurai that was like that like initially broke off. There's the mustachioed one. There's a mustachioed samurai. It's not confirmed, but that's what people are saying it is.
And they're like these morphed creatures. That's horrible.
Yeah, I don't know how they did that.
What a theory.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, they look similar. I think it's the big one with the horn, like the skinny horns on his head that gives it away. Because there's a samurai that literally has kind of the same aesthetic. That was in that cave. I think one of the interesting things about what Sanji's going through is if you really look close, Oda is really like giving us small details in Sanji's design that puts him more in line with the Germa people. Because if you notice, I thought this was a mistake at first, but if you really look closely, like Sanji's eyebrow is drawn differently like than it's usually. Because it's the swirl is supposed to be going in into the left side of his brow, and now you see it just like somehow shifted over to just like the outside of his head, like the right side.
Really?
You can see like a side by side comparison of this flashback where it's drawn correctly as it's always been, and then now it's like drawn backwards. Like the other Germa members, it's more in line with how their eyebrows are curled. You gotta really zoom in. I noticed it on my like second reading that if you look closely at it, you see Sanji's eyebrows twirled in the opposite direction of what it usually is.
Yeah, and it's just like theirs.
Mm-hmm. He's really
wow.
Yeah, Oda's good at the details, man. Oh God, bless you. Yeah. By the way, this is also the audience decided RGC of the week.
Certified RGC. Certified RGC. Certified RGC.
Josh, you're muted.
So this is the audiences?
Yeah, it won by a slim margin, but it won nonetheless.
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
I'm legit surprised. I'm surprised nobody else has pointed out Sanji.
What do you mean?
The fact that his whole body caught on fire.
Oh, he'd be doing that.
He's done that move before.
Yeah, he's gone entirely on fire before.
Last time this move was used, it was like a gag move, but now it's like actually hits home. This is like a really crazy chapter for Sanji. And I think this chapter makes him officially probably the most fleshed out Straw Hat out of all of them when it comes to like character development and shit.
Yeah, outside of Luffy, I would say maybe he's had multiple flashbacks. A lot of
not
deep
just
dive
that,
into
but
his
like
characters.
he has so much focus on his character when it comes to like his being and who he is and what his morals stand for and all that stuff. And I think this chapter was really, really, really fucking good when it came to developing Sanji as a character.
Yeah.
And you would not see this coming if you were reading this. You would not expect Sanji to actually hit a woman, you know, and for it to not even be like an enemy, like a big boss or anything. It's just some random girl, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. I don't believe I don't know. Maybe it didn't. Maybe he didn't actually hit her. Maybe something like got into his head or something and made him lapse time or something. But it doesn't feel like it. It feels like it could be possible that Sanji didn't hit her. You know, just because Oda left that up in the air. Sanji doesn't remember hitting her. But I don't know. We'll see. I think this was a good chapter, though.
Yeah, I think it was intentionally left out, that information, outside of just so like we could have that moment for Sanji, where he actually makes a pretty bold choice for himself. You know, like the stealth black is like such a useful power up, and the Germa stuff in general is a big deal to have, and you know, to have Sanji be like, well, which would Luffy choose? And then realize, like, well, Luffy would choose, like, the real me, because that's who he went to go save in Whole Cake. And he's mentioned many times how much he values, like, Sanji's kindness and who he is.
He would have been dropped him if that was really an issue.
Yeah, he told, like, I think he wanted, the moment that he wanted Sanji on his crew was that time he gave Gin food for free, despite the fact that the rest of the chefs didn't want to give him any food. And that's how he knew. He's like, God, this guy's my guy. You know, so I think like all that Sanji's going through, this is like a really good moment of like affirmation for his character, where he is very sure of himself and he knows how people value him, and that he's more than just this fighter for Luffy. He's a genuine friend of his. It was a good moment for Sanji. By the way, we didn't say anything about this color page. I just realized I really like it. It's basically all the second in commands, all the major second in commands of One Piece. Zoro.
Is that what that's about?
Yeah.
I was wondering what the theme was. I can't believe I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's Rayleigh.
Yeah,
it's
even
Ben, King,
the polar bear.
Yeah, it's all.
Yeah, Killer. This. Oh, I didn't know he was second in command to Blackbeard. That's interesting.
Yeah, Shiryu,
also,
Killer.
Who's Sabo second in command to?
Dragon.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Also,
right.
This chapter did also solidify like Sanji's reasoning for being so panicked once he found out that he was getting those body augmentations. Like before this chapter, you would look at that and you'd be like, well, yeah, I mean, that makes sense for him to react that way, but it's kind of weird to be joking, right? But then you read this chapter and you're like, oh wait, it's not a fucking joke. Like this guy is actually he's actually going through some shit right now with this, with whatever's going on with him.
Yeah.
So it did like snap us into reality a little bit. At least for me, it did. Like I had an idea. I knew that it made sense for Sanji to be reacting in that way, but for him to be like literally running away from a fight and stuff like that to like try to figure it out, I was like, oh, is this really the time for him to be doing that? But
yeah, it was a little weirdly paced, but.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of trauma that comes with Sanji realizing that he might just be like his family after all the abuse he endured from them. And also his body was acting weird. It's like he couldn't fight quite right anyway. So he was like, I gotta get out of here and figure this out before I jump back into battle.
It's before I really get my ass whooped.
Yeah.
Also,
wait, who is that Smoker on the first
no.
page, on the cover page?
No.
Who's next? Who's to the right of Rayleigh?
Hold on, I got it right here. Oh, that's Ben Beckman. Shanks is number 2. The guy Ben Beckman.
He's the smartest man in One Piece.
Yeah, he's the guy with the highest IQ in One Piece, according to Oda.
He's the guy who like pointed a gun at Kizaru, and Kizaru's like, "All right,
yeah,
okay, you got it." Buddy.
Yeah, he pointed his shotgun at Kizaru. Kizaru's like, "All right, gangsta." No, thank you. I don't want any piece of that. Beef. Yeah, that's a big deal. Kizaru's not afraid of nobody.
Also, one more thing, I really liked that Big Mom is actually going for real against Kid in Law now. Because, all right, so yeah, sure, the awakening was a little bit underwhelming, but that shit hurt. That shit actually did hurt her, believe it or not. So now she actually had to. She removed a whole year of her life to as a stake in this fight. So you know that she is willing to do shit to finish them off.
Yeah.
So I actually really like that Kid and Law are putting in work against this guy. I mean, against this woman.
Yeah, I also appreciate that Big Mom's not down after this fight, or after the awakening. I doubt that their awakening is gonna like come back for a minute, because it apparently takes a lot out of their stamina. I think Kid.
Yeah, like so much that they probably shouldn't even be able to fight anymore.
Yeah, so it's gonna be fascinating, and I'm so excited to see how this goes. We're probably gonna get a little bit more about Kid as the battle goes on. There's so much that still has to go down with Wano, and things keep adding. If the theory behind the numbers is any indication, then that's just like another thing that needs to be fleshed out. It's the arc that keeps on giving, man. This is a lot going on in this one arc, and I'm here for it. This has been a great chapter, in my opinion.